Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be applications you can apply to your life and a little more in depth about the chapter. We are in Numbers 31, verses 1 through 54. Now, this might sound a little harsh to swallow, but we have to remember that in war, people die, and that includes women and children. And the male children needed to be killed because they would grow up and hate the Israelites for killing their parents. And the older women that had been with men were already set in their ways, and they would lead the men astray. And God had told them to destroy them, and the men did not listen. Now, let's do a little bit of history. Backtrack just a little bit here. Now, the Mennonites were a descendant of Abraham. This was the son of his second wife, Ishmael. And they were a very large group of people, and they occupied a very large amount of land, so big that they had to have 5 kings. Now, this is also where Moses' wife and father-in-law is from, the Mennonites. And the Mennonites were standing in the way of the promised land. And also, the Mennonites, they are the ones that had led the men of Israel astray into having sex with them and worshiping their God. And then we see that Balaam, that was the man that blessed Israel and would not curse them, was among the enemies at this time. Now, when the men that went to war shared half of what they got with the men that stayed behind. Now, at first view, this may seem unfair. So let's look at it from another perspective. The men that did not go into war stayed back and watched and protect the wives and the children of all the men that went to war. The men that stayed back made sure to protect the whole camp of Israel, while the other ones went to fight the enemy. So when we have a better understanding of the full picture, it makes sense to share the goods that you had with the men that protect your wife and your children while you were at war. And we also see that everything belongs to God anyways. So the men gave an offering to the Lord. They thanked him because God had gave them victory. God had gave them more goods and flock and more things to bring back, which had blessed them. And now when we sin, we ask for forgiveness. We don't run back into that sin. And this was a lot like this for the Israelites. If they allowed their enemy to live, then their enemy would have dragged them down into sin, into worshiping other idols and doing things that would have been against God's law. And so, just like they had to remove their enemy, we have to remove sin from our life the best that we possibly can. And then we need to be thankful to God for all that he has given us. We should be willing to give what God has blessed us back to him in an offering, whether this is time or resources. And we also need to know that God has seen us through our trials, through our problems, through all the different circumstances that we have faced. And the fact that God protected the Israelite men. He protected them that went out to war. Not one of them was harmed or killed. And God is going to protect his children. So We serve a mighty, mighty God that's not going to let even one of his perish. That should make us all have an incentive to be one of God's children. May God be with you in everything and in every way.